Alright, creatures of the night, welcome to episode 120 of Talking Taker, our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker. And my name is Alex Doriot. I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, my fellow creature of the night, Mr. Travis White. Travis White, my friend.
Quite an introduction. I love that.
I had to give it to you tonight.
No one's ever introduced me that way.
Well,
thank you.
I do call you Mr. Travis White every week. It is appropriate to bust that out on this episode because we are talking about The Undertaker with the young up-and-comer Mr. Kennedy at No Mercy 2006, the beginning of the trilogy between Taker and Kennedy, and really a vital match in the career of The Undertaker. As one of the things we've discovered through doing this podcast is sort of storylines we didn't even know were there throughout Taker's career, and one of the underlying ones is that he's kind of always been in pursuit of this title that's eluded him, the United States Championship, all the way since the WCW days, and here we are 16 years later, he's going to be going for it again with Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, and just recently on Raw this week, Rey Mysterio won the U.S. title. And so, never say never. Taker could still come back and go after it in WrestleMania this year or something. Let's not count him out. So, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, 1990, he fought against Lex Luger. We covered that on here. And, 16 years later, going at it again. So,
yeah, let's not count him out, man.
Except not a title match.
Well, touche. Just go with me here, okay, man? I'm just trying to make something out of nothing here.
No, that's what we're going to try to do here because, there's not much to talk about here.
Yeah, this is not going to be one of the most exciting build-ups and exciting match trilogies that we'll ever talk about here, and we'll get into that. We're going to try to make the most out of it and have fun with it here. We still got plenty of the Great Khali to talk about on this episode as well, unfortunately, so we'll tie up those loose ends. We've been talking about them for 3 weeks now, and they're only going to get one pay-per-view match out of this feud, weirdly enough. But we'll get into that. But it is Thanksgiving week, Travis. Happy Thanksgiving to you as this episode is dropping here on Black Friday, and I'm thankful for this podcast. I'm thankful for this time that we get to share with each other every week and share with all the fellow creatures of the night. But truly, us as Undertaker fans, we all have something to be thankful for this week, and that is the special on the WWE Network that aired this past Sunday, the Broken Skull Sessions, the 2-hour in-depth, unfiltered interview The Undertaker did with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the WWE Network. Let's kick things off this week and give a little analysis of this because I know all of our fans out there, I'm sure everybody listening to this watched it this past week, and as the self-proclaimed world's biggest Undertaker experts that we are, I feel like we have to give our analysis on it, man. So, did you love it as much as I did, Travis? And what jumped off the screen to you most of all through watching this?
What jumped off the screen didn't even jump off the screen. What jumped off the screen jumped off out of my ears, actually, because I heard an interview with Steve Austin where he said that they actually talked for 3 to 4 hours and recorded, and there's some stuff left on the cutting room floor. They had to edit it together. It's like a 2-hour thing or whatever. He's not sure if they'll do a second one with it, but anyway. So I just got 4 words, and that is release the Snyder Cut. This is hashtag release the Snyder Cut. You bring it back to comic books here, like wrestling. Let's just do it. Let's just get it all together. Let's do a special collector's edition. There's 15 editions of Blade Runner out there, all this extra footage. Let's go with the deep cut and get all the deleted scenes. So, but I mean that in a good way because I wanted more. I could not take my eyes off these guys, man. So many cool stories, and just seeing them legitimately having a good time with no agenda, just talking that was so fun just to watch, and we'll break down some of the stuff they talk about, but that right there was my favorite part, was just watching these two dudes who we love so much and a big part of our lives and our childhood growing up, just shoot the crap there at the table. You know, it was awesome.
Shoot the crap, taking shots. You know, I felt like I was right there with him. I did not have a shot of Jack or anything, but I felt like I could have just jumped right in with him, man. It was unprecedented, really. We've never, ever gotten this level of access to The Undertaker in history. Nope. Like, we talked about that, what was Fab 4 interview he did before the One Night Only pay-per-view, and that was cool. That was a little bit of peeking behind the curtain. And then there was that Michael Landsberg interview we talked about, off the record or whatever, like early 2000s. And then we've seen, you know, in recent years, he did that couple interviews with his pastor, but they were not as in-depth and not as long. You shared that video with a couple of like developmental wrestlers or indie wrestlers that he did.
Yeah.
That was at Schmidt's Barbecue.
Schmidt Family Barbecue.
Right. But never
shot of slits.
2 hours of just him with Stone Cold, a guy who he respects, who he's going to open up to, that he's actually going to let down his guard fully and share these stories. That was so cool. Like, you could see the vulnerability, the honesty of him. You know, Stone Cold at one point asked him, like, are you a worrywart, dude? Because he kept telling these stories about him being worried and being anxious and nervous behind the scenes, which is just like, you never see him ever let his guard down that much. So that was just so cool, man, to see him humanized in that way.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect word, humanized, man. Just to see him that, because we talk on here about so much about how great he is in the ring and the way he has his control over his character and all the things he does, and we hear all these backstage stories about he's a locker room leader. But you had to see him and hear him talk about the fact that, you know, he was concussed. He has no idea where in that Brock Lesnar match, and he thought that could have been the last night. He doesn't know, but he didn't want to go out as a shell of his former self, and so he keeps getting coaxed into coming back. He thought that the Roman Reigns match could have been the last one. He made a statement, leaving his stuff in there. He said, you know, I can't come out here and give a speech, a rah-rah, bye-bye, I'm gone speech. Like, that was it, which was the impetus and the catalyst for this podcast. And then to see him even talk further about when he mentions at home, he thinks he's going to retire. Even his wife, Michelle McCool, rolls her eyes like, okay, great. Like, it's so much of a joke as it is to us, too, you know? So, yeah, it's just great. All that was awesome.
Yeah, it was nice to have him confirm that we were not idiots for thinking he was retired and starting this podcast. Although maybe we were idiots for starting this podcast. Who knows? But it was great to hear that. Man, a couple of my favorite stories. I won't spoil them all in case you haven't been out there and watched it. I don't want to retell them, but just the first couple stories he shared about being trained by Buzz Sawyer, and Buzz Sawyer showing up at the door butt naked to train him. Like, I cracked up on the couch. And the Cypress Hill story with X-Pac about drinking the boys from Cypress Hill under the table. That was the peak of the podcast. I keep calling it a podcast, interview, whatever it was. That was the highlight for me, man.
Yeah, I did not see the band Cypress Hill coming up at all. Like, that was, I'd never heard that story. That was insane, man. That was, and how insane was it? It was insane in the membrane. That's what it was.
Hey-o.
I'm just saying.
That was a softball right there.
You're welcome. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that story and his X-Pac impression is spot on.
Spot on.
It's spot on. And that story and the plane ride from hell story too, because they talk about that, you know, what happened in an insurrection that we commented in this match, and seeing that whole interaction with him and Steve Austin was great. But yeah, the plane ride from hell story, where he just that was awesome. Yeah, and watching him hearing him talk about his loyalty to Vince, because, you know, saying that this is the guy that gave me everything when Ole Anderson and WCW told me no one's ever going to pay to see you. And that was another thing that wasn't lost on me, because we know that that's what it wasn't necessarily the words that Eric Bischoff said, but that's kind of, you know, the actions Bischoff took when he fired Steve Austin.
Oh, yeah.
So seeing these two guys that basically down in Atlanta were told, you're not good enough, go on to become two of the biggest stars one actually a box office, as far as Austin, but like Taker is he's more than just that. Like he's the reason we're doing it. Like to see them and and hear them talk about how far they've come from those early days it wasn't lost. The irony wasn't lost on me.
Yeah, as much as both of us love WCW and have stuck up for them through the years, that right there just shows you why they went out of business. At the end of the day, that kind of sums it all up. That they couldn't see that in those two.
And we got the One Warrior Nation instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got Mongo McMichael and the One Warrior Nation. So, yeah.
A couple other things that we've mentioned throughout our series of the podcast that I thought it was cool to see them talk about. The Taker Rooney, that we got some analysis on that. One of our favorite moments. That was great to see. You mentioned, Undertaker being concussed, or they talked about the SummerSlam '98 match and how it didn't live up to expectations because of Stone Cold's concussion. That was a big conversation that we had on the show back when we did that episode. And then I loved hearing Undertaker talk about Jake the Snake and how he was the one guy he went to for advice back in those days. So that was cool because we talked about how we loved that match and how we saw that influence in there. So that was cool to hear Undertaker confirm that and say that on the show.
Yeah, and all that was great. Yeah, hearing him talk about Jake was fantastic. And also one thing when he talked about the early days is, and Austin pointed it out too, is I think we've even touched on it here when we covered some of those Japanese matches and the early WCW stuff, is he had to change his style completely when he became Undertaker. He can go on the top rope. He can run. He can jump over you. He can leapfrog you. And he starts to add some of that stuff as we've broken down, the flying cow thing or the old school, but he talks very vulnerably about consciously having to pull back and not do those things. And it was a struggle for him at first, but he had to. That's not what this character would do. And just hear him talk about the fact that he's playing a character. He's not. And it's no offense to any of the guys nowadays or any of the guys that just come out and are themselves. Like Shelton Benjamin, love that guy, but he's not a character. He's just Shelton Benjamin. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have a character to get into. So the fact that Taker took on this persona and made every aspect of the game revolve around that persona. Again, that's why we're doing this podcast, not one called the gold standard about Shelton Benjamin. Again, no offense to Shelton. Love the guy. But I'm just saying,
Yeah, that'll be on our Patreon soon, the gold standard. Going through every Shelton Benjamin match. But you're absolutely...
Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to be disparaging. But
that was going to be my last point that I brought up, is just the wisdom that we saw in there. And I hope everybody else on the roster watched the special and took something out of it, because he did, man. He summed up, he reiterated many times, there's a lot of stuff I could have done, back in the early 90s. I could have been jumping off the top rope. I could have been doing flips and stuff. But it made him, as much as that would have made him stand out, it made him stand out even more to not do those things and to, take a minute between doing each move and to let those pauses and let those moments sit. And, man, that, I think, is the biggest lesson. So many guys, when you watch any company, WWE, AEW, NWA, I don't care, Ring of Honor, New Japan, so many guys need to hear that and remember that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I hope across the board in the professional wrestling business, people watch that. I'll give them my now subscription. Tweet us. You need to see this. You need to pay attention and understand that this is not some J Brown telling you this stuff. This is the Undertaker, and God knows what he's doing. So
he does. He does, man.
Another cool thing was just talking about how it's not over. It's not over yet. So we don't know when he's going to come back, but he'll be back. And he obviously puts a lot of time and effort in his comebacks. He talked about how it's almost like going to fight camp now, for UFC. He has to train hard because he doesn't wrestle all year. So it's a big thing for him. They talked a lot about his pain, literal physical pain he's in. So just seeing him talk about that's not something you expect the Undertaker to talk about, because he no-sells it. So seeing his vulnerability was great, man. But yeah, the wisdom and the vulnerability, it's 5 stars, man. If this was filmed in Tokyo, it'd be 7 stars. It was great. I just loved it.
I loved it as well. I encourage everybody else to go. If you haven't watched it for some reason, please stop what you're doing. Abandon your family at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
go
turn
watch
us off
this.
And go watch it.
Watch it multiple times so that they'll make more release the Stone Cold cut, release all the extra footage,
Yes.
give us all of it. I'll pay more money a month to see more of it. I don't care, man. But the only thing I could say is, like, it was 2 hours, but there's so much stuff they didn't get into, and I got so many other questions to ask Undertaker that the invite is open to the family barbecue, so that we could hit you up with those follow-up questions. I mean, that's where you're really gonna get in depth here and get to the bottom of the stuff that we have all the real questions about, like, why was your family buried in Long Island, New York, back in 1998? Like, we need to get to the bottom of things like that.
Yeah, I got the answer from Russo, but I don't believe him. So yeah,
Right.
we got to get the answer from
We need it from the man
Taker.
himself.
So yeah,
And
a lot of questions.
as you mentioned, Travis, he said on the show he is going to end things on his terms, not on anyone else's. And thank goodness he was not ready to end things here back in 2006 at this match, because it would not have gone down as one of his best. But we're going to talk about why we think that and try to make some fun out of it here as we take it back from 2019. Let's get to why we're here to 2006. Take that time traveling hearse, whatever you want to call it, back to after Great American Bash, the Punjabi prison, the match that was supposed to be Undertaker versus Great Khali, but his liver enzymes were a little bit too elevated, so Taker had to take on the Big Show instead. And let's see what happens as we follow up with that.
The SmackDown after that, there's literally no follow-up, no mention, no anything. I don't recall seeing any highlights on it or anything. It was just, we skipped across that. So the next week on SmackDown is August 4th, 2006. The main event is the World Heavyweight Champion King Booker versus Taker. But before we get to that, backstage we see Booker kind of fretting over having this match, and Queen Charmel kind of calms him down and says that by the end of the night, the whole arena will be chanting, "All hail King Booker," which I know you and I were definitely chanting that. But the only high spot on SmackDown these days. So.
Oh yeah, man, he is just all in on this guy. I mean, like he's just been doing it for a month now, and he's been shot up into the World Championship. Man, career resurgence.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, that's the main event, and Taker, he's doing work here in this match, hitting big moves, and it's choke slam, and it's not their greatest outing, but it's not their worst. They have pretty good chemistry, but. After the choke slam, Khali and Daivari come out, and Khali gets in the ring and chops Taker over the head, and then puts the boots to him and puts his foot on him and yells, as he's been apt to do in these last few months, just with his foot on somebody's chest. But at this point in time, Taker's had enough. He ain't having it anymore. He knocks that foot off like it's one of those razor sharp spikes at the top of the Punjab prison, and he gets off. He starts wailing away on Khali, winds up clotheslining him over the top rope, and then he grabs a microphone and just makes his point, and he says,
"Khali, you, me, SummerSlam. Wow. Last man standing. Oh my!"
And Khali and Daivari back up the aisle as Taker just kind of stares at him, and the show closes out. That's how we go off the air. There is that. So you, me, SummerSlam, last man standing. Oh, man. There it is. Challenge. Punk card pulled.
I love that he's been selling so big for Khali for like the past 2 months. And then all of a sudden he's just like, F this, man. He just swats him away. Just sends him back. And he's like, I'm not messing with this anymore. And they're going to fight at SummerSlam. Like, for sure now. They're going to make up for this Great American Bash match. And they're going to fight at SummerSlam. Can't wait. As August 11th, 2006, Daivari and Khali, they actually open up the show this week. Daivari, though, says he does not accept the Undertaker's challenge. Now they're totally afraid of Undertaker. Daivari's like, who does he think this guy is? Khali's beating Undertaker up week after week after week, so he doesn't need to face him and Undertaker. And again, Undertaker is sick of this. He's not messing around anymore because the gong hits. And Undertaker comes out, and you can tell he already means business because the straps are already down, no jacket, no hat when he comes out, man.
I was amazed. I was like, what happened?
Nah, dude. No time for that. And he does, dude. He starts throwing hands with Khali immediately, takes Daivari down, blocks Khali's double choke slam, and then in a first here, Undertaker gives Khali a choke slam, and that's the first bump we've seen Great Khali take the entire time he's been in WWE. So he just absolutely means business here.
Yeah, from the week after
WrestleMania.
Was it WrestleMania until now? So yeah, like 4.5 months, he hasn't taken a bump. All of a sudden, he does. So, and that chokeslam is about on par with the Hogan one from 2002, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's not pretty, but we'll take what we can get here with Khali. JBL though, he thought it was as big of a statement as Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bradshaw.
Come on. Yeah. He tried.
He tried. He's trying to hype it up.
He hit a double. He hit a double with that one. So.
Well, my favorite part of all this, though, is afterward, Daivari, he's backstage, he's whining and crying to Teddy Long, and as we all know, Teddy Long is the wrong guy to complain to about The Undertaker.
How dare I can't even believe The Undertaker. He came out there, he attacked me, he attacked the Great Khali. We were just answering his...
You know what you need to do? You need to take that bass out your voice and keep it down in here. Now what's the problem, player?
Undertaker came out, he punched me in the mouth, he chokeslammed the Great Khali.
And?
This is your show, Teddy. Get control of it.
Daivari lists off all the things Taker just did to Khali in the ring, and Teddy's response is, and? It's like,
Yeah,
so what? That's my boy you're talking about.
Oh, man.
And Teddy gets so mad that he says he's going to take Khali off of SummerSlam, and he's going to make Taker go one-on-one with Khali next week on SmackDown in that last man standing match.
Yeah.
So, no more SummerSlam. Now this match is going to go on the go-home show to SummerSlam in just a very strange turn of events. And I tried to look stuff up. I tried to do some research. I have no idea
Me too.
why this match got taken off SummerSlam. You have any guesses?
I couldn't find anything, and I don't. Has Bruce Pritchard covered SummerSlam 06? I don't think he has yet. I thought that might be all BS, but it'd be worth a listen to hear what he has to say. But yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe he had I don't know, deflated liver enzymes instead of elevated. I don't know. He couldn't make it another week. I don't know. Maybe I don't have no idea, man. But I just hope that the Undertaker got the SummerSlam payday for this match,
Right.
Because he gets the spot of the card taken off. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's a big deal.
Big news. So yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is like
anything.
They were afraid of putting Khali on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like they thought it needed to be taped or something. I mean,
I don't blame them.
I don't either. But I just, it's so strange that Undertaker, of all people, would get that treatment of getting bumped off the second biggest show of the year.
Yeah, because we've seen that like last month they didn't mind just replacing him with somebody else. So we know that the precedent has been set. They're okay with that. So they could have done that, but they didn't. But anyway, well, yeah, that takes us to SmackDown August 18th, 06. This is the go home for the SummerSlam. And the show opens with this really good like pay-per-view quality level video about Khali's, just all his destruction, his mockery of Taker, all the stuff we've covered, the brawl from last week, the chokeslam, but it completely skips the Punjabi prison, Big Show's involvement. None of that is on there. And it also edits the fact that Taker said, you, me, SummerSlam, last man standing. It just says you, me, last man standing. So
That's right. Yeah.
if you don't pay, if you're not a mark like us, pay attention to every word that they say, you wouldn't know. You know, if you're just tuning in, but oh, cool, you know. So, but I hate when they rewrite their own history. It's so recent. Like, it drives me nuts. But anyway, but this match is like in the middle of the card too. It's not even like the main event this night. It's insane.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, how bizarre.
I got you.
No, I'm just saying how bizarre is it? Well, yeah, but what's also bizarre is that you pointed out in your notes. Is this the first Last Man Standing match we've covered here?
That was my question to you, man. I don't remember Undertaker ever being in one up to this point, unless, I'd love for one of our listeners to remind us of something. There may be an obvious one that we're just slipping. We've done 120 episodes at this point, so forgive us if something slips our mind, but I can't remember out of all the stipulation matches Undertaker's been in that we've ever done a Last Man Standing one.
Yeah, me neither, but anywho, somehow correct us if we're wrong, but like I said, this match takes place in the middle of the card, and Khali and Doriot come out first, and JBL's making all kinds of Steven Spielberg, Jurassic Park, King Kong, blah, 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 all the same stuff he's doing at the Punjabi prison.
Dude, he's a huge Jurassic Park fan. He brings it up every week.
Yeah, me too, man.
I know.
He and I have that in common, but yeah, it's not even timely. Like 06, there was 01 was Jurassic Park 3, so it's not even like it's timely references. So it's been 13 years since Jurassic Park 1, so I don't know, whatever. But
he was waiting for Jurassic World, man. He was,
man, jonesing for Jurassic World. So, but anyway, we Taker's comes out, makes his full entrance, and Cole tells us it's gonna be a clash of the Titans as we come back from commercial. So yeah, getting the Clash of the Titans in there.
That's
we
right.
got the Spielberg. It's summertime, man. Blockbusters. It's summertime blockbusters.
That makes sense.
The SummerSlam goes Hollywood, I guess. But anyway, back from the break, these guys immediately go at it. Taker is, as we've seen the last 2 weeks on this build-up to a Ken Kennedy match, with the Undertaker's more aggressive here toward Khali. He's just really going at it. And then he actually takes a page out of his old, opponent's book and starts working the legs of Khali, because you got to chop that tree down, basically.
Right.
So they go up to the set, and Khali winds up throwing Taker off the stage through some tables. And Taker answers the count right about 9, as Khali is like awkwardly posing and kind of looking down at Taker and looking back up. He doesn't speak English, bless his heart, so he doesn't know his cues and stuff. You can't fault him for that. So I can fault the company, but not him. So anyway, and then later on, Khali wraps Taker's arms around the ropes, chops him, does 4 chops on the head, which we've seen Taker go down with 1, but now he is no selling. This 1 chop, he's up. 2 chops, he's up. And so he does 4 of them, boots him, which I think a boot put him away during their match at Judgment Day, right? That's what put him away.
Movie, yeah.
He chopped him and booted him. Yeah. And Taker sits up for a 10 count, and then the stairs come in the ring, and Taker basically hits a one-man concerto. He has Khali's head like leaned on the steps, and then he smashes his head in between that and the chair, and Khali is busted open. So he's taking a bump on his back, and he's bleeding now.
Yeah.
So come a long way in 4 months. But he sits up, he being Khali, and Taker drills his head with brutal chair shots. That'll definitely elevate your liver enzymes. And the chair was like dented. It's nasty. And hits a choke slam, and Khali can't get up. He's covered in blood. He can't get up, and Taker puts the Punjabi Prince away for now. So we're not going to see him for a little bit. So
pretty dang decisive victory for the Undertaker there to wrap this feud up. I have to think, this feud definitely got changed around and adapted once they saw what they had with Great Khali in the ring. And
sure,
Taker had to know. Well, I'm sure Taker wanted to get that sort of revenge as well, if he was going to put him over so strong at the beginning of it too. So, just kind of a weird ending to a very weird feud that never quite got off the ground like I'm sure they hoped it would. And we had to wrap that up here before we got into the Kennedy stuff and tie up those loose ends there. Travis, I got to ask you too. Like we've talked about movie rankings on this show before, so I'm just gonna throw you on the spot, man. How would you rank the Jurassic Park movies?
Including the world ones, or just the original
all
3?
5? Yeah.
I say Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and then Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, as my least favorite. Okay. Even though it's a Spielberg movie, it's my least favorite. It's just too much. I just couldn't handle a lot of it. So yeah, I cannot wait for the next one, Jurassic World 3, whatever it's going to be called, Evolution or something, but it's going to be great. So big fan.
That's probably exactly what I would do too. That'll probably be my exact same ones. Yep.
We'll have to ask JBL what he thinks.
Yeah, anytime he wants to come on the show and talk Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I know 3 is really is short and it kind of ends abruptly. And the storyline is, but it blows 2 out of the water to me. 2 is a nightmare of a letdown. But yeah, Jurassic World was fantastic. What a great way to bring it back. Anyway, thanks for asking.
Anytime, man. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to blow through a month's worth of SmackDowns here real quick because nothing really happens with Undertaker. But we do see a couple things going on with Mr. Kennedy. Really nothing with either guy of any importance on August 25th, 2006. On September 1st, 2006, Mr. Kennedy gets that United States Championship, defeating Lashley and Finlay in a triple threat match.
Hey, Lashley, Finlay, Kennedy. It sounds like the triplets somebody had. Something. Some millennial named their kid all the same, have to end the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Coming to a first grade class near you sometime.
Name. Yeah. This is Kennedy. This is Lashley. This is Finlay.
I don't know if those are boys or girls' names either. Any of those.
Yeah.
Well, Millennial Kennedy, he's on September 8th, 2006. He's been on a hot streak. He's been getting a huge push all throughout this year. He's defeated 3 world champions so far in his career. And he beats some jobber here on this episode of SmackDown, and he calls out Teddy Long to say that he's beaten everybody on SmackDown, and apparently John Cena is potentially going to jump over to SmackDown at some point, so that's one of the Raw storylines. So Kennedy says he wants to go over to Raw.
Yeah.
And, Teddy Long, Undertaker slid into those DMs again, I guess, because Teddy says there's one guy you haven't beaten, one guy you haven't defeated.
Is that right?
That's right. You got to stop.
You know something, Kennedy? You do bring up some interesting points.
Yeah.
But however, there's one SmackDown superstar that you haven't taken on. So I tell you what I'm going to do, player. October the 8th at No Mercy, it will be Mr. Kennedy versus The Undertaker.
You can't do that.
And Kennedy is not too happy about that, man.
Nope. I wouldn't be either. So.
No, he's not excited.
Especially a fresh Undertaker just got a month off.
Exactly. So. Another month of PTO here. He must have had that. Asked for that when he's like, man, you're not putting me on SummerSlam. You better give me a month off. Go on vacation again. But
that's one thing. Let me interrupt real quick if you don't mind. That's one thing in that Broken Skull session he talked about is knowing that when he changed to the American BA, knowing that he had to change because his stuff wouldn't really go in the Attitude Era. And then he mentioned that he said knowing when to take breaks at the right time. Because he said, I know that if I'm getting stale, the audience knows I'm still before that because you're so wrapped up in yourself. So hearing him say that and being cognizant of the fact that he knows when to take breaks. And of course, we make fun of it because it's just funny, but it's like a rolling gag. But I mean, it's true, So anyway,
it does. Dude.
I want to bring that up because that's spot on.
Part of why he stayed so fresh is because so many. He's not on TV every single week. It's been a huge boost in his career here. I'll just wrap up SmackDown September 15th. This is the last SmackDown ever to air on UPN after 7 years of them being on that network. I believe that's the longest run SmackDown's ever had on a network as it starts to play hot potato over the next decade or so. But on this episode, Mr. Kennedy defeats another former world champion, Rey Mysterio, with a roll-up and a grab of the tights. And, he's got to get one match in because Undertaker hadn't returned from vacation yet before this feud to really start in earnest on SmackDown September 22nd, 2006. So I'll let you take over from there.
Yeah, like you said, this is the first episode of SmackDown on the CW as the UPN and WB have merged to form this Voltron network called the CW. So, dude, I remember the WB. A little frog would dance around and say, the WB.
Michigan J. Frog, man, of course.
They had a name?
Yeah, of course
What?
he did. Michigan J. Fry.
Michigan? Oh, my word. I had no idea.
That could be one of the
man, I'm blown away.
quadruplets with Kennedy and
That's a trivia
Finley and Lashley. Michigan. The oddball.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like the one that came it's like the kid you have 18 years after your last
Right.
one. Like you accidentally had it. It's like, it's Michigan. Yeah.
That one night you had in Michigan, that's what you named him after.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm sure first SmackDown on a brand new network. I know that WWE's got a huge main event lined up for this episode of SmackDown, right?
Oh, yeah. The main event is scheduled to be King Booker versus Big Vito in a draft.
What a way to make a first impression, dude.
And now, I'm not talking about 6 years earlier. This match would have been the G.I. Bro versus, what were they called? The Mamalukes.
The Mamalukes.
Like in WCW, yeah. Yeah, that would have been what this was as a main event. But now we're going to get King Booker versus Vito. However, I apologize. King Booker is appalled. He is disgusted at having to face a peasant like Vito, a man that wears a dress. He would not touch such filth. And he is just he is over the top how sickened he is by this. And Teddy's like, well, player, you're in luck because Vito has stepped aside out of respect for another competitor. He's going to allow them to take his place. And that person is The Undertaker. And then at this point, man, Booker and Sharmell just completely drop their gimmick and just start complaining in their regular street voices. And it's so good.
And I, King Booker, will not sully my royal hands by touching one who wears such filth.
You won't? Well, it seems to me, King Booker, that Vito has been undefeated since wearing that dress.
That means nothing to me.
But I tell you what, you're the luckiest man in the world, King. Because Vito has willingly stepped aside so that you can take on a different opponent tonight.
Vito is wise. For my mighty husband would have smote him.
What fool have agreed to challenge King Booker to a joust?
Well, King Booker, tonight you will face The Undertaker. Your Majesty, welcome to the CW.
No.
Nothing like a plate.
No. No. Daddy, you better pay your. It ain't going down like this, dog.
This was awesome.
Yeah. It's almost like on SNL and they break character or something. But it was supposed to happen. It's really funny to see because they're just wait, what? He just totally doubts the king.
Hell no! What you talking about, Teddy?
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
He calls
Awesome.
Teddy Thaddeus when he's talking as King Booker.
Thaddeus, yeah. Goes Thaddeus. Yeah, and he uses all this old English words. It's so great, man.
I loved it.
Thou and stuff. It's great.
Can we talk about what an idiot Big Vito is? He had a world championship match, and he's just like, nah, Taker. You got it, man. I'm going to sit this one out. I'm sure I'll get another opportunity soon. I'm on a roll here. My time will come.
Since he put that dress on, he's on a roll, man.
He's undefeated.
Vito in the blue dress, baby. Yeah.
Big mistake.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, he, I don't think that was too far from his real personality. He's pretty much a moron. I used to, listen to him on Ruto's podcast and stuff like that. He had his own show, and he really, he's pretty much the same guy you saw on TV back then. So
Fair
I got to
enough.
give it to him for that. He's pretty much the same dude. So it wasn't a gimmick. It was just him. But as far as going with your career, furthering your career to get to the top, it was a pretty stupid move. But anyway, maybe he just had a lot of respect for the Taker man.
That's it, for sure.
Anyway, Mr. Kennedy comes out to join JBL and Michael Cole on commentary, and he is, in my opinion, he is way over the top as far as when Taker's coming out and making his entrance. You'd think that this was 1990 Survivor Series and he was a child in the front row. Like the way he's reacting. Like he's like scared, like and he says though, like, I've never been this close to Undertaker's entrance and stuff, but like you've still seen him on TV for 15 years. Like, I don't know, man. I was just like, it automatically, like, right then just took me out of this feud. I was just like, he's trying way too hard, like overacting.
Exactly, man. That's a great way to describe Mr. Kennedy in general, in my opinion. Somebody who's trying way too hard. And I felt the exact same way as he's like, Taker's like got the smoke and lifting the lights, and Kenny's like, "What is this? What is this all about?" And Taker starts the match, and he's got his, he's in his fighting pose, and Kenny says, "Why does he have his fist up like that?" I'm like, he's about to wrestle. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Why don't you wrestle? Yeah. So, but like it's weird because like I remember being a fan of this dude like back then.
Right,
like he was like his mic skills were good, but like I go back and watch it now, I'm like, what did I see? Maybe just because like sifting through the other turds that were on the show, you found this little glimmer of gold in this like this pile of candy litter full of turds on there. But like, so this guy actually has a character. But yeah, man, he's just over the top. We'll get more into it as we get to the actual match too. But I will say this, man, it's bad to see the job he's doing. JBL is doing a great job of putting Taker over on commentary because he talks about their history in the ring together, But again, Kennedy's just like a little scared kitty on commentary. But he says, I've scouted Taker on tape. I've never been this close. And then JBL presents a moment of foreshadowing that he says that being in the ring with Taker is like grabbing a live wire. It's going to send sparks down you, which hold that in your memory bank for next week. So, yeah. Anyway, but getting kind of back to the match, King Booker slips out of a tombstone, gives Taker a Death Valley blow to cause a DQ. So, Taker wins the match but doesn't win the title because of the DQ. And Kennedy is just super excited on commentary, but he's like gritting through his teeth, like, yeah, man, yeah. Like I'm like, dude, what is happening right now? Like, just I don't know if Vince was not backstage at SmackDown tapings or something. Like, I don't know, man. But
yeah, it's too much.
I would have pulled this guy aside and said, "This is too dial it back just a second, man. Just turn it back to 10. You're at 11. Just turn it back. Less is more," which Taker said on the Broken Skull sessions.
Bingo.
Yeah. So anyway, Lashley comes in because he's feuding with Booker, and he throws him in the ring, and Taker sits up, hits him with a chokeslam, and tombstones King Booker to get that babyface heat back. He got to get that babyface.
Gotta get them babyface pops.
So exactly, and Taker locks eyes with him and stares down Kennedy, and Kennedy does the Vince McMahon gulp, which they'll like you see his Adam's apple, and Taker does a throat slash, and Kennedy is just quiet and speechless for the first time in a long time. That's kind of his gimmick, is how much he talks. But I know Vince saw a lot in this guy because his name was Kennedy, allegedly after Vince's middle name. I mean, his name is Ken Anderson, but the story goes is that he gave him King Kennedy because he was kind of like the chosen one, and we'll see that when he wins Money in the Bank next year and all this kind of stuff. But he also fumbles the ball next year.
Yeah, man, it's so weird looking back at it because back in 2006, he jumped off the screen and he did a lot of those things that we complain about people not doing, and he showed personality. He seemed different, but man, when you look back at it, it kind of just is him saying his name, and that's that's the peak of it, dude, because we'll talk about the match here a little bit, but it ain't anything special. And man, his promos, like the one I'm going to talk about, it leaves a lot to be desired, and it just hasn't aged all that well. It was, I don't know, man. It seemed cool at the time, but the world passed him by, I guess. Yeah.
It stood out because he had the microphone that came down from the top and all that stuff, and the light. So that was neat, and his catchphrase was named. But you're right, that's about it. That's all the substance there was to it. His theme song is atrocious.
Right, it's terrible.
And I don't know if it's a overdub or something on the network, but like whatever they got going on is awful. I don't know if it's one of those leftover ones from like Forcible Entry or something like that, or Reckless Intent, but it is I mean, it is biz-ad. It is real bad.
No, I think that was his real one, unfortunately. I don't think it gets any better than that, sadly. But let's keep it going. September 29th, 2006, as this is another reason why this didn't click with me, is we get like a weird cliche that we've started to get recently, is Mr. Kennedy. He's dressed up in a black suit and doing a funeral service for The Undertaker, which we just saw Mark Henry do. We saw
6 months ago. Yeah.
Yep. We saw Kane do it. That's kind of become this new thing that we've seen a lot of now. So Kennedy's doing it. Of course, he's using that microphone down from the ceiling that he used in all his promos, and he talks about last week being as close as he's ever been to The Undertaker, being in awe of him, and puts over Undertaker all the greats that he's defeated through the years. Shows a little video package, kind of similar to the one we saw during the WrestleMania 22 build-up, just going through Taker's whole career. Yeah, it might have been the same one. I don't know. But he says, as much as I want to defeat The Undertaker, I don't want to embarrass the dead man. I have too much respect for him. So I don't want to beat him in the ring. I don't want to be the one to defeat the streak at WrestleMania. I don't want to wrestle The Undertaker at No Mercy. A pretty good heel move, basically trying to chicken out of it by saying he doesn't want to beat him up too badly here. But that brings out the dead man. He makes his entrance, comes out there. Kennedy's acting terrified in the ring. And I love this part. Undertaker grabs the mic while Kennedy's still holding it in his hand, and holds Kennedy's hand holding the microphone as he talks into it. Says, there's something important you need to know. I show No Mercy. Getting the plug in for the pay-per-view right there. Well done. And tells Kennedy,
there's something important I think you should know. I show no mercy. And you will rest in peace.
And Taker starts to walk away, turns his back on Kennedy, and Kennedy gets this big idea he's going to attack The Undertaker with his microphone. But as he goes to run at Undertaker, that microphone starts sparking and explodes in his hand like a live wire, just like JBL foreshadowed last week. It's kind of a cool visual, but the crowd doesn't really know what to do with it. They seem kind of confused by it. As Kennedy runs out of the ring, they don't really pop for it, but Undertaker just kind of does his pose in the ring, and we cut to commercial here, and it was just a little awkward.
It was awkward because if you're in the audience, you don't hear the commentary, so they're putting over that it's Taker that did it. But honestly, it just looked like a glitch or something. It didn't. Right. There was no Usually when Taker does those things, they theatrically throw his hands up or down or something, or the lights will flicker and something will strike. But this was just Kennedy holding on to it, and it just sparks in his hand. So it literally looked like a glitch or something that happened. So the crowd didn't get the whole story of it was Taker doing it. And another thing that was weird is that when you're watching this SmackDown, they show a replay of it, and then when it comes back, Taker's in the ring, like you say, doing the throat slash, but he no longer has his hat or his coat on at all. He just goes from having it on.
Yeah. The
thing explodes in Kennedy's hand, and then he doesn't have it on. So I'm assuming there was some sort of physical confrontation or something that they edited off, but I could not find I couldn't find the 13-year-old notes from somebody live there, some little geek putting up on Fire saying oh, hell's here tonight, here's what happened. I couldn't find anything like that. There was no Reddit back then, but I'd like to know if there was something that was cut out there, because he just suddenly had a wardrobe change. But anyway,
it was weird. Something clearly edited out there, and maybe the special effect didn't go right the first time. I don't know, but
maybe, I don't know. One
of those things that look better on paper, sort of like Mr. Kennedy in general.
Sure. Well, that's going to bring us to the next week, and this is SmackDown October 6th, 06, the go-home show for No Mercy. And we see a backstage promo with Mr. Kennedy sitting like he's AC Slater, man, just in a backwards chair. He's got a black long-sleeve shirt on, black cool room. Guy. He's just none more black. Yeah. To quote Spinal Tap, he gets none more black there. It's just great. So yeah, real cool guy, sitting backwards. But he says that Taker has accomplished everything in this industry by playing mind games. He's got caskets and hearses and buried alive.
But I'm here to tell you that nothing that you can conjure in the deepest, darkest recesses of your mind will compare to the shock and awe that these people will experience when I pin you at No Mercy on Sunday. Undertaker, you will find out that the decade and a half of destruction is over. And the future has arrived. The future is me. The future is Mr. Kennedy.
And I was waiting for him to say Kennedy again, but he didn't. He was in serious Kennedy mode, and he just said it one time. So
had some restraint.
That's all. Like, there's no Taker on there at all. There's no antics, no interaction with him whatsoever. So this storyline, basically, if you're following, was GM puts him in the match with him. He's on commentary and terrified of him. The next week, his hand explodes, and then he gives the AC Slater promo backstage. I mean, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, I have to wonder if maybe Taker and Khali was supposed to go even longer, and because it's weird that Kennedy has the U.S. title here, and that doesn't factor into this match, so it almost feels like
right.
And this whole feud just seems real slapped together. It feels like maybe they weren't supposed to start quite yet, or they made a pivot and change at some point, but we'll never know. We don't really know the answer to that. That's just our analysis here, and let's just talk about what did happen. No Mercy 2006, October 8th, 2006, from the RBC Center in Raleigh, North Carolina at NC State University.
Say for red blood cell? I don't know. Elevated liver enzyme. Could be the red blood cell center.
It's a whole theme going on.
Yeah. Medical facility.
But you could chalk this up.
Yeah, it's at NC State, man. That's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, man. There you go. Not the Wolfpack, the other Wolfpack.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
Red and Black Center, maybe. That's what it is. Don't turn your back on
WWE would use that music, like, just randomly in a show. Or one of those, like, Raw reunion ones or something. Yeah, like, why don't they bring back the dudes, like, when they bring back, like Nash and Hall and bring them back in the red and black, dude. Can you imagine if that song came over the speakers? Dude, I would pop huge for that song.
Conan
one of my favorite
comes
songs
out.
of all time.
Sting comes out with the tomato paint on his face.
Tomato face.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, but I digress. But yeah, this is one of those. I mean, I have never seen this pay-per-view, and I don't know why you would have. I don't know why anyone paid for this.
Yeah, man. Like, we've talked about it the past few weeks. SmackDown was just brutal during this time. So many bad gimmicks and bad feuds and over-the-hill, washed-up wrestlers on there. Neither one of us were watching SmackDown too much during this period. We've put over King Booker. He was incredible, but not enough for either of us to tune in every week to see him. Man, that was pretty much the only thing going on SmackDown during this time.
Yeah, exactly. And just matches that you got every week on SmackDown that they also do on pay-per-view, which is not unlike today. But Matt Hardy and Gregory Helms, they wrestled for like 6 weeks straight.
Yes.
Seriously. And I love both those guys. I love them. But I don't want to see them wrestle for 6 weeks straight and then have a pay-per-view match. Like, dude, it's not important anymore.
And
so
like London and Kendrick versus, I think, Eminem or the Pitbulls or something.
Damian Sandow? Yeah.
Oh,
Damian Sandow and the other dude.
Golly.
Yeah. Guy that never drew a dime. But Casey James, he never drew a dime.
Right.
At least Sandow did something eventually. What was his name? Austin Idol? Or no, Idol Stevens. Excuse me. Yeah, and they were with Mrs. Undertaker, Michelle McCool.
Oh, there you go.
They were hot for teacher, man.
They tie it in. I like it.
Dude, the opening video of No Mercy only focuses on the World Heavyweight title match. That's it. I think it's a 4-way. Is that right? Batista, Finlay, Lashley, and King Booker. Is that
right? Yep.
Yeah,
that's it.
So That's it. They don't highlight any other match on the card. And then we got JBL and Cole in commentary. And this match we're going to cover is in the very smack dab middle of.
Yeah, it goes on after the classic segment where we see William Regal's Banger and Mash on screen on pay-per-view. He's running around with gets his towel taken off by Big Vito. My highlight of the night right there.
It's edited off the network, but yeah, he's backstage butt nude, and you get to see it. You get to see old Willie Regal. Yeah.
Teddy Long stops, like, he gets mad at him. He's like, "You're horseplaying in the hallway out here." What do you think this is?
Horseplaying in the hallway. Yeah, he sends him out for a match. Is it against Benoit? Is it Benoit returns again? Yeah, he sends him out. Oh man, we can be horseplaying in this hallway. You better get close and get out there for a match. You can't horseplay here. It's like, what?
Regal's talking to. He sees Vito in the shower. He's like, "Was your father a donkey?" Good Lord.
You can't say that on television. It's pay-per-view, baby. You think Regal remembers this night?
Oh, no, not at all. Not a chance. I hope not.
Well, they did have to issue an apology the next night because of what happened. You got to see his Frankenbeans, so they had to legitimately give an apology. But it's on pay-per-view, so it's like they kind of got away with it. But yeah, anyway.
So I was confused at the beginning. Is this match for the U.S. title or no?
No, it's not on the line. It's just a match with the Undertaker. The U.S. title is not on the line, so it's still. Taker still can't get his hands on that.
Can't quite get
it. Still evading him. It's been 16 years. He's this close, but he still can't get an opportunity. So, again, never say never. Rey Mysterio just won it, so, we'll see what happens the rest of this year.
Still a chance. That's right.
But, yeah, so you're saying there's a chance.
Man, Taker versus Mysterio? Give it to me.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yes, sir. I'll take that. I'll take that on any continent. I don't care if it's in Saudi Arabia or not. I'll take it. So, dude. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
But anyway, we get the video package. It's basically Kennedy's voiceover from the AC Slater promo, spliced with some footage. That's it. There was nothing much. And then he's going to come out first. Mr. Kennedy is. And again, I just want to reiterate how bad his music sucks. And he calls for the mic, gives us his own, weighing in at 240 pounds from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and says his name twice. That's the gimmick, and I'm kind of over it at this point in real life. It's not impressing me anymore.
Exactly.
I liked it, but doesn't impress me much. So
yeah. Like, I feel like, this may be too harsh, but I feel like we're gonna look back. We're gonna look back at Kennedy. We're gonna look back at Enzo and Cass, kind of the way we look back at Kennedy now. It's like, man, I loved Enzo and Cass when they were so hot, but man, that was pretty much it. It was just like the little
then the bell rang.
Entrance, man. Yeah, dude, that was all it was.
I don't know. I may take Enzo and Cass over Kennedy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I will. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We'll let this play out.
Well, Undertaker, he makes his entrance. It's not as cool as some of the other previous ones. This set for No Mercy is not as cool as some of the other ones, but Undertaker takes his time and gets good reaction from the crowd. But Cole and JBL, they are talking over his entrance here, which it's kind of lame.
It drove me nuts. Like, more so this week than any other. Like, just shut up for a minute so we can soak in the aura of the Undertaker. That's part of the fun of it, There's certain times where you need to speak over it and tell the story. There's no story to tell. There's nothing. There's no story to tell. So just lay out. Let us be in the moment. But Michael Cole does say one of the things he blabbers that the U.S. title is not on the line tonight. And then JBL says, 2 years ago at No Mercy, I went one-on-one with the Undertaker. He tombstoned me on the hood of my limo and bloodied me up, and somehow I walked out the victor, So, yeah, I do appreciate the continuity.
I like that he brings up that history. Yeah, absolutely. And Undertaker and Kennedy, man, they go right at it here. Undertaker comes storming at Kennedy, but Kennedy moves out of the way. Undertaker knocks him down with a big boot, though. And Kennedy escapes the first Old School attempt, as become another cliche here. Undertaker never hits Old School on the first time. Kennedy rolls to the outside, and Undertaker goes out there, catches him, and starts slamming Kennedy into the stairs on the outside.
Yeah, they're on the outside, slamming his arm to the stairs, like you said. JBL says that when he's on his game, there's no one better than the Undertaker at all. Just not talking about pure striker. He's talking about at all. Like, there's no one better, which is a far cry from 2 months ago when he said that he's a shell of his former self in the ring with Big Show.
Right.
It's like, which one is it, pal? But yeah. But Taker does that single arm lift that Khali tried to steal from him. And Kennedy's going to powder to the outside and wait there. And Taker's going to continue to work that shoulder over.
He does, dude. He slams that shoulder into the ring post, and they trade some fists on the outside as the quote-unquote best pure striker in the history of sports entertainment is dominating things here. And Taker gets Kennedy into the ring and does hit Old School. He goes for it again, but Kennedy hops up on the second rope this time and tosses Undertaker off of the top rope. It's a pretty nice change of pace and a really big bump here. That was probably my favorite spot of the match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was definitely the best spot of the match. Definitely up to this point, but maybe in the whole thing. But yeah, Kennedy does. I will give him credit. He does do a good job selling that arm. Taker's been working it. So he's on the offense now with just paint by numbers stuff that even Luther Reigns did, just choking him with his foot, booting him. I mean, it's nothing more. You honestly could have put Luther Reigns in this or Heidenreich, and it would have been the same, like as far as the work went. But Taker's back on the offense, and he does manage to hit Old School this time. So he's tried it a number of times and finally hits it, and then he immediately hits that PTO flatliner, gets 2 count. And all the while, like right after this, Kennedy starts going into his bag of tricks. He's going to go over to the turnbuckle and take a little page out of every Old School heels book here.
That's right. Takes the turnbuckle pad off, setting it into play here for later on. He doesn't immediately get to do anything with it, but setting that Chekhov's turnbuckle pad, I guess. And Undertaker gets a clothesline on Kennedy, gets a 2 count, chokes Kennedy in the corner, sort of like a throwback to the Old School day. We haven't really seen him do that, but kind of like he used to do, man. One-handed, rolls his eyes in the back of his head, and chokes out Kennedy in the corner. That was pretty neat. And then another throwback that we seem to see every week in here. Taker goes for a running big boot into the corner. Kennedy moves out of the way, and Kennedy bumps Undertaker to the outside. It's about the 15th time in a row this has happened to Undertaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he flops off and hits the barricade, and then Kennedy rolls out and starts kicking him and punching him. And then Michael Cole actually calls the Undertaker Taker. He says, his eyes are rolling back of his head, but not like Taker normally does, or something like that. But he says Taker. And JBL is very quick to correct him.
And this one not done on purpose like Taker sometimes does. It's Undertaker to you. You don't want to call him Taker. I'm the Undertaker. What the hell's wrong with you? Apologize.
And Michael Cole apologizes and is very sure to call him Undertaker for the rest of the match. So, yeah.
Are we in trouble, man? Is that why Undertaker hadn't come to our barbecue yet? Are we not allowed to call him Taker?
Might be.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, we're not boys, so we can't call him Taker, I guess.
Dang it.
It is weird, though. You hear all his pals on podcasts and interviews call him Taker that have been and worked with him, but it is like a no-no. Like on the air, they never do that. They always call him the Undertaker.
Right.
So maybe that's it, man. It's just we screwed the pooch, I guess. So
shoot. Oh man.
Talking Undertaker, episode 1 next week.
Yeah, we gotta restart it.
Can't call it undressing Undertaker. I don't know what we can.
Please, I'm not ready to call it that. No, we'll come up with something else.
William Regal might be.
Oh. Well, back to the match here. Kennedy jumps off the apron, but Taker catches him and rams his spine into the ring post. And they go back in the ring. Mr. Kennedy gets on offense this time. knocks Taker off the apron again to the outside here.
Dude, again.
Again, man. This is quite the long match, and it drags here in the middle. To be honest, I do appreciate Taker is trying to break the count here. They're playing by the rules. Kennedy hits a DDT on Taker, but Taker breaks the pinfall up with his foot on the bottom rope.
Yeah, and then Kennedy's going to drape Taker over the middle rope and choke him, and they're going to hit the old Stone Cold's old move, or what we coined on here as the 409 by Mark Henry. He's going to run and jump on Taker's back, and as he's laying with his throat on there, but then JBL says that the people here in North Carolina are shocked right now. They can't believe what they're seeing, which is also known as nobody's invested in this. I mean, as far as the story goes,
That's it, yeah.
But I will say this: almost on cue, the crowd starts to chant for Taker, it was really funny. Like they start chanting like immediately after that comment. So again, they're not chanting anti-Kennedy stuff; they're just chanting for Taker. So there's a difference.
There is a difference, man. They're not really here for Kennedy, but they're always here for whatever Undertaker's doing here. Kennedy's controlling things, though.
I'm here for what Kennedy does next.
Oh, man. He hits Zack Ryder's broski boot on Taker into the corner for a 2 count. I guess Ryder stole that from Kennedy. I had no idea. Kennedy gets another 2 count off some elbows. Starts choking Undertaker. Undertaker, he fights back. He works in his apron offense. And then the most ludicrous part of the match, in my opinion, happens here. As Undertaker gets Kennedy back in the ring, but Kennedy he cuts off Undertaker and he hits a pile driver. Let me make that clear. Mr. Kennedy hits a Jerry Lawler traditional pile driver, and for some reason, Michael Cole multiple times calls it a tombstone. It says, "Oh my God, Mr. Kennedy just hit a tombstone on The Undertaker. What is happening here?" He's like, "I've never seen anything like this before." And Kennedy gets a 2 count off it. JBL doesn't correct him. Michael Cole never backs off from it. And this was like a throwback to 1999 Michael Cole. Like, what is he talking about?
I was about to send in the cavalry on him.
Exactly.
You know what? Taker said that on the
He did.
Broken Skull thing. He said send in the cavalry. He did. I was like, dang you. Michael Cole has infiltrated you. Anyway, but yeah, I was serious, man. Like, I was aghast at this comment. Like, and like, I was more let down that JBL didn't correct him, because he just corrected him, calling him Taker. That's a prime opportunity to heel on Michael Cole,
No, he went along with it. But he's like, he's for sure going to win after that. I'm like, what are y'all watching?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was crazy, but I was impressed at the pile driver because you didn't see those often. But then it immediately went away with the commentary. Like, it just took all the coolness away. So I don't know. It's like when you're a kid and like you really like this band or something, or like a movie, and all of a sudden your parent likes it too. It's like, dang, never mind. That's not cool anymore. Never mind. I don't like that movie. I don't like that band. So, but anyway, I don't know if that really applies, but I felt like it did.
Absolutely, go with it.
But Taker's gonna get in a paper/body scissors from Kennedy. His arm drops twice. Taker's does. The third one doesn't stop. He stops. He makes his way up to his feet. Suplexes out of it, and then they start trading blows in the middle.
That little submission is absolutely incorrectly called a triangle by JBL as well, just to keep that momentum going. Getting things completely wrong. Yeah.
It's a sleeper with body scissors. That's all it is.
It's not at all
a rear naked choke or a sleeper. Like, that's it. Now, if William Regal did it, it'd be a rear naked choke.
Bingo. Or naked Midian.
But again, still an open invitation for Dennis Knight to come on the podcast.
Or William Regal. Or Big Vito.
Or not. It's an audio podcast.
That's right.
Oh, man. Well, they start trading blows, and then JBL, he's like, you don't want to punches with anger. You need to low blow him or poke him in the eye. And I was like, yes, that's awesome.
That'll work.
I love that JBL said that. Yeah. Oh, man.
After that, Undertaker basically hits his moves of doom here. You know, the snake eyes, big boot, leg drop, all that stuff. Just gets a 2 count here. I never quite can get the finish off of that, but, you know, be great one day.
Yes, man. I would love to see a match where it's just like running diving clothesline, snake eyes, big boot, leg drop, 1, 2, 3. Like that would be so neat. And
fun.
out of like, it would surprise you. And I'd like to be surprised in wrestling.
Well, Undertaker,
anyway, go ahead.
He tries to finish him off with the choke slam here, which we have seen him finish off some guys with, but Kennedy holds on to Charles Robinson here. That should be a DQ, but whatever.
Yep.
And then Kennedy gets able to slip out of Undertaker's hands. He hits a swinging neck breaker, but misses an enziguri and does get hit with a choke slam after that. And then Undertaker's going to reach deep into the bag of tricks for something here.
Yeah, he's going to foreshadow into, I think it's Armageddon, and take him up for a last ride. And Kennedy's going to punch out and almost run into the ref. And then Taker, I think they go over to the corner, and Taker goes for, to splash him, but he stops short because he don't want to hit Charles Robinson. You know, looking out for the referee there. But then
right.
Taker actually just grabs Chuck and kind of throws him away, and as he does, Kennedy rams Taker's head into the exposed turnbuckle, which I believe again that JBL says feels like getting hit with a brick bat. So he's consistent with that analogy. So
where did he play baseball growing up?
I don't know. Where do you get a brick that size?
Is it serious?
Or is it just a tiny little baseball bat? It's a tiny bat.
Could be. Well, Kennedy does something here. I did always like this about Kennedy. He hits the Kenton bomb off the top rope, man.
Yeah.
He's a big guy doing that. It was interesting. I guess he didn't do it as much when Jeff Hardy finally came back. But I don't remember if he totally phased it out. But it was always cool to see him do that.
Yeah, it was. I always like seeing big guys or bigger guys do that, you know, like we talked about on this podcast, Sean O'Hare, man, when he did it was just, I loved it, you know, it was awesome. So, but yeah, good stuff. But yeah, he hits the Kenton bomb, Taker kicks out, Taker sits up, and Kennedy powders out of the ring. And he goes and grabs his U.S. title like he's desperate. He's either going to walk away from the match or going to use it as a weapon, but Charles Robinson tries to take it away from him, but Kennedy's going to grab it back. And he turns around right into right in the face from the Undertaker. And that causes Kennedy to drop the title on the mat.
And Undertaker, he sees that title he's been chasing for 16 years, and he picks it up. And, you know, just like the ring to rule them all corrupted people in the Lord of the Rings, the U.S. Championship corrupts the Undertaker here as he punches Kennedy, grabs the U.S. title, smashes it over his head. And that's the finish of this 20-minute match, is the disqualification on the Undertaker to give Kennedy the win. Dude, what a spectacular finish. That is awful. So lame.
And that's like watching a bad movie and then the ending sucks too. Like sometimes you can watch a bad movie but the ending's cool. And it's like, oh yeah, that was neat. This was like watching a bad movie and then the ending makes the movie even worse. Like it was awful. There was no reason for Taker to do that from a storyline perspective. It's not like he's being manhandled or Kennedy was cheating the whole time or anything, or like, you know, taking him off. Like he just hit him with it. I don't know. Again, it just goes to show that this is definitely chapter 1 in the story. You know, we're not getting anything definitive here. It's chapter 1. So,
and that's why I think this match generally left a poor taste in my mouth, because I mean this was a TV finish, man. This was a SmackDown finish.
Yeah, it was.
To extend the feud, and it was on pay-per-view, and we had to make it the focus of one of our episodes, and it just kind of sucks here. But thankfully. Go ahead.
Could have shaved this match in half, honestly. It could have been 10 minutes and had the same finish and wouldn't have been as bad. It would have made more sense.
Yep, absolutely. But thankfully, it's not over yet for us Undertaker fans, and we get to see him do a little bit more action here to get some heat back on Kennedy.
Oh, yeah. Charles Robinson's going to raise Kennedy's hand like while he's lying on that, and Taker just had enough of this, and he goes and he goozles Charles Robinson and then clotheslines Kennedy and drops the elbows, a bunch of elbows on him like he's Dolph Ziggler or something. And then Kennedy's going to get up and turn right around into a tombstone. So you're going to send the North Carolina crowd home happy because they pop big for that. So
Mr. Kennedy's not the only one who's going to get it here, as Taker's posing, his music is playing, and Undertaker turns over to Charles Robinson, the man who just DQ'd him, and the music stops. Charles Robinson is in for a bad night as well, as he goes up and gets a tombstone for his troubles as well on this night. Taker leaves looking victorious, even though Kennedy got the cheap victory here. And I don't know, man. It was not on the Luther Reigns or Heidenreich level to me. Not like actively bad like those matches. It was just boring, you know. And that finish just leaves such a terrible taste in my mouth.
It does. It sucks to watch a 20-minute match and it ends like that, you know. Again, with no story, with no reasoning. Like if there's a story, like I said, if he's playing that little snot-nosed heel and he's getting all these jabs in and finger pokes from behind the ref's back, or he's, you know, cheating, and all of a sudden then you just have enough of it and you just get frustrated as the babyface does and he just takes his anger out. That makes sense. But that was none of that I just said was in the match, except for the exposed turnbuckle. It was one spot. That was it. You know, and it's like, man, it just sucks. Like, I don't know. Again, we're not wrestlers. We talked last week or the other week about how we tried a little bit, but you know, but we've watched enough to know what to do and what good storytelling is, you know. So I'm not crapping on Mr. Kennedy at all. It's just This was just, they had to fill this pay-per-view. You got your four of your top guys, which top guys in 2006 are in the main event. So you got a lot of real estate being taken up in one match there. So this match is bound to be a long one, you know. So.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And the WWE is going to try again with Mr. Kennedy and Undertaker next month in the Survivor Series. And this one didn't quite click, but they're going to try to amp it up with a first blood stipulation for that match. And that'll be what we cover next week on the podcast here. It is Survivor Series season after all, so we'll hit you up with that Survivor Series episode. But before we get there, we want to hear your thoughts about this match, Undertaker Mr. Kennedy Round 1. Did you watch it live? Were you there in person? What did you think of it? Did you love Mr. Kennedy back then? Do you feel like he hasn't aged quite that well? Are you enjoying him in NWA Power on YouTube? What do you think of all that? Hit us up with all those comments.
I know you're. Oh, go ahead.
No, I know what you're going to say.
Enjoying Jim Cornette anymore.
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talking Taker. And you can, of course, subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a rating. Leave us a comment over on, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, anywhere out there you listen to podcasts. Let your friends know about it. Share it over your dinner table at Thanksgiving dinner as you're giving thanks and passing the stuffing and the sweet potato casserole. Ask your buddy. Ask your mom. Have you listened to Talking Taker yet? And, download a podcast on their phone because they probably don't know what that is or how to do that there. Whatever you can do to help support the show, keep us going here as we keep rolling on to the last ride. It is Black Friday, and TeePublic has got a sale going on Black Friday, so you can pick up a Talking Taker shirt, a sticker, a mug, a hat, a koozie, any of that stuff. teepublic.com, search for Talking Taker. We got all our designs over there that we've done through the years, 30% off over Black Friday weekend. We would greatly appreciate you helping us out there and supporting the show in that way. But of course, the best thing you can do is to just share the show with people and just interact with us on social media. That helps spread the word and get the word out. We are so thankful for almost 2,000 of you out there following us on Twitter. We got hundreds of you following us on Instagram. The Facebook numbers are still pretty low. That's not our strongest interaction, but we love those of you that do interact with us on Facebook. Couple comments for the Mr. Kennedy match this week. At WWE Facts 24/7, the Wrestling Fanatic said they loved the up-and-coming Mr. Kennedy getting to wrestle Undertaker. And here's a teaser for next week. They loved the involvement of MVP in the feud. Another young gun that we can talk about next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about him and our love or hate or whatever for him as well. So, because he was new on the scene. So.
And at Aaron_G09, Aaron Gilbert said Kennedy was his guy. So he was a Kennedy fan back then. I think a lot of people were. I'll be interested to hear people's feedback on this and what they think of how he's aged here in 2019. I'm real interested to see what everyone else thinks about that. And, of course, give us more and more feedback about that Broken Skull session with The Undertaker. We're happy to talk about that with everybody out there. Travis, before you close us out, I kind of got like a fantasy booking idea in my head watching that I keep calling it a podcast, watching an interview and Survivor Series weekend.
That's fine.
I got an idea. Let me run this by you, man. I'm going to throw it out into the universe.
All right.
So we know Undertaker says he's not done yet. He's going to finish things on his own terms. 30-year anniversary is coming up in 2020. It's going to be the 30th anniversary of The Undertaker. Survivor Series 2020, right? Think about they're doing this brand warfare still. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Let's say they keep that going next year. Let's say SmackDown, it's a team of 5. Maybe they have a mystery partner on their team. And so for the SmackDown team, because Taker's always been a SmackDown guy. So whoever it is whoever their team captain is, gets on the mic before the match starts, and just like Ted DiBiase did 30 years ago, they say, "From Death Valley, weighing in at 320 pounds, I give you the Undertaker." Taker comes out 30 years later as a mystery opponent at Survivor Series. You can put him in the gray gloves and the old school outfit. I would love to see that. And then maybe he dominates, eliminates a couple folks, but maybe he puts over some new fresh guy from NXT on the way out, going out, putting somebody over. I think that would be something really awesome. Or heck, he could win it all and be the sole survivor. Who cares? But I really would love to see that bookend of him, maybe his last match 30 years later at that Survivor Series.
I would not be disappointed in that booking idea at all, man. That sounds great to me. Yeah, putting it, he could win it all. He wouldn't want to. He wants to lose his last match because the two that we mentioned, he thought his last were Brock and Roman, which are the two people that beat him at WrestleMania. So
right.
Yeah, putting over somebody like a Keith Lee or a Ciampa or something like that, Matt Riddle, like even just somebody, or maybe there's gonna be a big guy. There is some big guy that Shawn Michaels raves about in NXT. No, Scott Hall raves about it. Anyway, maybe some big guy who'll put him over at the end. But yeah, that'd be kind of neat, man.
Yeah,
to bookend his career, 30 years at Survivor Series, I would not be mad at that at all. Plus, it'd be an ending point for us.
Give us something.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Please. Let it be over. Nah, man, we love doing it. We're excited. We got some fun stuff coming up as we close out the year 2019. We got a couple of bonus shows coming your way. Yeah, man, we've got some fun
for
stuff
the holidays.
lined up for you
some
guys.
Bonus shows. And you know what just occurred to me? I'll kind of end with this before I close this out here. Is that on the same SmackDown roster as Kennedy, kind of this brash, over the top, loud, over dramatic, overacting, overselling guy as Mr. Kennedy, and you also have The Miz as basically the same thing. However, he's less fit. He doesn't fit the Vince McMahon mold. He's not, as cut and as fit. And look which one is still there.
Wow.
Isn't that mind-blowing?
Dude, that is a great call, man. Like, you're absolutely right. It's the same kind of gimmick, and literally no one would have predicted The Miz would be one out of those two guys that would be future world champion and we've talked about it for the past 2 weeks now, 15-year career.
Yeah. Well, speaking of world champion, with this win over Taker, Kennedy has now defeated former 4 former world champs. So we'll keep that going as we roll into next week. But if you were there in was it Raleigh at the Red Blood Cell Center, whatever the heck RBC stands for, I don't know. I don't know what it means, but anyway, the RBC Center. If you were there, if you were one of the Wolfpack on the campus of NC State, let us know if Kennedy was your boy, was your guy. If you liked him better than Miz, if you think he should be in Miz's place, hosting Ken TV, who knows? You let us know. We want to hear from you because we're gonna have to sit with Kennedy for another couple weeks here. So let's just keep going, keep us up, and again, hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Enjoy some Black Friday shopping. It's the 26th Black Friday over on TeePublic that we've had this year, basically. So y'all enjoy, and ladies and gentlemen, take her easy.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down. Oh my God, what happened? Somebody shortchanged you over there. Oh God, man, is your father a donkey? It gets me a lot of days. The chicks dig it. I'm from Staten Island. Ladies, I'm dreadfully sorry. It's the air conditioner. Whoa. What are you doing? What am I doing? I'm getting accosted in the shower.
First thing you need to do is you need to cover your mouth, man. Cover yourself up right now.
I'm covering.
Now, you mean to tell me you got nothing better to do but to be horseplaying in the hall and hanky-panking around in the shower?
I've got a serious mission. I'm trying to... And Vito's got me in the shower. Oh!
Well, speaking of Vito has some issues to work through. Now, let me tell you something right now. I am not going to tolerate this horseplaying in the hall. So I tell you what I'm going to do. The best thing for you to do is go back to the locker room, put your gear on, because later on tonight, I'm putting you in a match. You got that?
How very, very dare you!
Church,